Today we'll talk about stablecoin diversity. Obviously, stablecoins are pretty important to DeFi. They bring the units of accounts of the real world to our on-chain paradise, where finance is permissionless, borderless, programmable, and of course censorship resistant. I think that without fiat-denominated assets, DeFi would be a lot less appealing to many people. And specifically, in DeFi, we rely on stablecoins as loan collateral. They're a very core part of a lot of protocol treasuries, and they are major DEX liquidity hubs. And I want to zoom in on that last one. So how important are stablecoins really for DEX liquidity? Well, if you run the numbers over the last 12 months, then you will find that 49% of all the DEX swaps involves USDT or USDC. And that means that either the swap was between USDT or USDC, or it was with different tokens, but it was routed through one of these two stablecoins. 49%, that's massive, I think. And of course, that dependency is not without consequences. Because last year, we all saw that when USDC depegged, because Circle was exposed to the Silicon Valley bank run, quite soon after, there was a liquidity crunch on Uniswap and Curve. And for a lot of trading routes, liquidity virtually evaporated because it was so dependent on pools that included USDC. So what's up with that, right? How can our decentralized paradise, how can one company's failure disrupt it so profoundly? That's not the thing we're trying to build, is it? And that shows a little bit that this love story between stablecoins and DeFi is a little bit darker than we often realize. USDT and USDC comprise 96% of all the centralized stablecoins. Centralized stablecoins, trusting them means you're trusting a company. So the result is that basically we are relying on a duopoly to provide core DeFi infrastructure. And that's bad for a couple of reasons. So we just saw that it introduces single points of failure. That's one issue. Another issue is that a duopoly can easily get greedy or lazy. So Martin Carica, the founder of Mountain Protocol, he pointed out a while ago that the risk-free rate is about 5%, and somehow Tether's making 8% on their reserves. It's interesting, right? And then lastly, a duopoly breaks censorship resistance. And I don't just mean the fact that they can deny list your wallet. I also mean Ethereum's censorship resistance, because the last line of defense that Ethereum has against large-scale censorship is hard forking. And then Ethereum relies on the social layer, so that's us basically, to pick the uncensored fork and make that the winning fork. The problem is that if that would happen today, then Circle and Tether also have to pick which fork they are going to respect for redemptions. And if it's just two companies, it's not very hard for a government to pressure them to pick the censored fork. That would mean that 96% of all centralized stablecoins lose their value overnight on the uncensored fork. And let's be honest, that probably means that the uncensored fork will lose, and Ethereum actually loses its censorship resistance. So this is a problem. A DeFi that depends on two companies to function, it's not actually decentralized. These two companies are too big to fail, and that's a systemic risk. So we want to move away from that. We want to have a more healthy world than this. So what do we do? Well, there's generally speaking two solution directions, two ways to go around this. One way is to say, okay, so we're now over-relying on two companies. Let's make sure that we spread out our reliance across many more companies. So that is what I would call stablecoin diversity. The other way is to say, no, the problem is not the number two, the problem is the dependency on companies altogether. So let's avoid that and let's build decentralized alternatives. And today's talk focuses on stablecoin diversity, so on centralized stablecoins. But I want to be clear that I don't think this is really a debate. These two solution directions, they are not mutually exclusive, and we probably need both, because I don't think centralized stablecoins are really going to go away. I think they're here to stay for a couple reasons. One reason is, at least right now, their demand absolutely dwarfs the demand for decentralized alternatives. Another reason is that I can still sort of like try to explain centralized stablecoins to my mom and dad, and they might trust it if I put in some effort, but I could never see how I could make them trust how DAI works, for instance. And the last reason simply is the fact that the regulatory environment seems to really be pointing in the direction of centralized stablecoins, whether we like it or not. So we're going to need both solution directions. So we need stablecoin diversity, and then I mean centralized stablecoin diversity. So let's get to way more than 2 very large stablecoins. Let's get to at least 10. Because if we get there, then one failing stablecoin will break fewer things. It's going to be very easy to migrate to an alternative. If one does fail, it's going to be harder to censor Ethereum, and there's going to be healthy competition, and obviously that's going to be good for all of us. Okay, so let's take action, and let's take inspiration from how the Ethereum community has improved on client diversity, a similar kind of problem where, you know, we started this movement, we raised awareness, we made it cool to diversify, we applied peer pressure to large actors, we threw some nice memes into the mix, and, you know, this has actually given us some good results. So let's do the same thing, but this time for stablecoins. And you can help do this today. We actually brought some tools. So we launched a website called stablecoindiversity.org. There are social media handles that you can tag and retweet. And we brought cards. And you know, there's on some of your chairs. And if not, we brought a lot. So you can have some more. And this is an initiative of the Stablecoin Diversity Alliance, of which the Stable Summit is a part. So thank you so much for hosting a platform to have this important discussion. So what's the action going to be? What do we want people to do? Well, at the end of the day, we want users to start using minority stablecoins. But we can already anticipate 2 common responses if we tell them to do that. One thing they will say in a lot of cases is no, because they suck. And the other thing is, sure, but which one should I use then? Okay, so let's go to the first one first. So the reality is that stablecoins, minority stablecoins, are inferior stablecoins, at least in the beginning. They are less well-known, less trusted, less liquid, less widely available, and less integrated everywhere than the incumbents. And that's what people obviously want. So that is an issue because that means that no one wants to be the first to go into these minority stablecoins. Of course, with adoption, it solves itself, but no one wants to go first. So, you know, the adoption doesn't grow, and then we're stuck in this loop where we're all worse off. But it's not as big as a problem as it seems, because stablecoin adoption isn't binary. If you're holding a large treasury of stablecoins, you don't have to go all in on an unproven stablecoin. You can just take it a small step at a time. So I want to applaud organizations like Gitcoin, Polygon Labs, and the Shutter Network DAO, who recently have swapped 6-figure amounts of their USDC to Glo Dollar. They're holding millions of USDC in most cases. So it is a small step, but it is a step in the right direction. And if we all diversify gradually, collectively, then we get where we want to be without anyone taking an oversized risk in the process. So that's one. The second one, yeah, which one should I pick then? Right? That's actually a good question. Which stablecoins are we going to shill? For instance, should we recommend TrueUSD? I mean, maybe theoretically that is diversification too. The problem is that TrueUSD doesn't really offer any features or any benefits that USDC and USDT don't have, right? It's an undifferentiated carbon copy, but it's less liquid, it's less integrated and stuff like that. So really for a user, the only reason to move over to TrueUSD would be the diversification argument, and that's a hard sell on its own. So that's gonna make our life harder, but we can make our life easier if we start recommending stablecoins that have a unique competitive path because they do something that the incumbents don't. So, USDM is yield bearing, USDF, who we just saw here on stage, incentivizes distribution, and Glo Dollar funds public goods. I'm going to zoom in on my favorite. I'm a little bit biased, but with Glo Dollar, for instance, you can fund public goods at 0 cost. How does that work? Well, you're just using the stablecoin like you normally would. But there's an app, you can connect your wallet to it, and then you select your favorite public goods. And then every month, we donate our profits to your favorite public goods, and we're funding organizations like Gitcoin, Protocol Guild, and GiveETH. And that comes at no cost to you, the user. So if you're then wondering, if it comes at no cost to me, where does the money come from? Then take a good look at this slide and compare it with the next one and see if you can spot the differences. That's sort of like how it works. We think that these billions could be used for something much better. So that's Glo Dollar, and it offers the user something new. And that might be a reason to already start using a new stablecoin, even though it's not the most out one there yet. So that's what we want users to do. We should tell users, start using minority stablecoins with a unique competitive path, and take it easy, diversify slowly, diversify gradually. There's a third problem, though. Even if we convince people, sometimes they may tell us, yeah, but the problem is I do things with my stablecoins that these minority stablecoins can't. For instance, because they're not supported on my favorite platform, dApp, chain, protocol, on and off ramp, or it's just not liquid enough for my heavy-duty industrial use case. So that's the last challenge that we have to solve, because minority stablecoins lack integrations and liquidity, and they're faced with a double chicken and egg problem. And it kind of looks like this. If you are a new stablecoin with no adoption, then obviously you're going to not be integrated in a lot of these protocols, dApps, et cetera. And builders are not going to create these integrations because there are no users asking for it, and that's because it's not being used. So you're stuck in this vicious cycle. And the other vicious cycle is that you will have low liquidity, or at least low organic liquidity. LPers are not just going to spontaneously provide liquidity for you because there's not much yield to be made if no one is swapping in and out of your token. So there's this other vicious cycle. And of course, for USDT and USDC, it's the inverse, right? They have it all figured out already. So for them, it's network effects. But new stablecoins need a little push on these fronts. To solve the first vicious cycle, to break out of it, we want some builders to start supporting minority stablecoins preemptively, so before users actually ask for their integrations. And to solve the other one, we need some charitable LPing, meaning some people will need to provide some liquidity for minority stablecoins, even in situations where that might not be the most profitable thing to do. And I know that kind of sucks because it's sort of like not game theoretic, right? But yeah, the stablecoin duopoly also sucks. So I'm afraid we're going to have to need a little bit of it. And hopefully, if we have a little bit of it, we can get over that hump. And then the market will take over and get these minority stablecoins in an upwards trajectory. And of course, in the meantime, as users, we're going to diversify gradually. So these three things will be playing into each other. So that's our final CTA. Start using minority stablecoins with a unique competitive path. Users, please diversify gradually. Builders, please support preemptively. And LPers, please LP charitably. Let's make DeFi decentralized again. Let's ditch the duopoly. Visit stablecoindiversity.org to learn more. And follow Glo Dollar on X and Farcaster. Thank you so much for your attention.